everyone, Nick here. Hope you guys are doing well. And one thing that I strongly believe is that a large part of who you are and what you aspire to be in life is the result of the habits that you have. And though I have plenty of bad habits that I'm trying to get rid of, this channel is about growth and positivity and learning. So today, I thought I would reflect on one habit that I'm particularly proud of, which is reading a book a week. I've been doing this for about 4 months now, and I can honestly say that it's changed my life, for both good and bad. And today, I wanted to share what I've learned into 3 distilled lessons in the hopes that upon watching this video, you guys will be encouraged to pursue the same hobby and maybe form some of the same conclusions as well. The first thing I learned from authors like Albert Einstein, Ta-Nehisi Coates, and Carl Sagan is that the most dangerous thing in the world is the illusion of having knowledge. I think that on a large scale, wherever you grow up in the world, we are the result of households and cultures that have trained us to think a certain way. Our parents raised us the way they did because they believed in the superiority of their ideals so much so that they felt the need to ingrain them into their children. And I don't mean to sound unappreciative or hateful because I'm very grateful for what my parents taught me, but it made me realize something. We are all the protagonist of our own stories, and we have our beliefs because we genuinely believe that we are right and others are wrong. These 3 authors taught me so much about questioning everything. To them, the pursuit of truth is the humble interrogation of your surroundings, and you must have the courage to question people who might be respected or admired in society, but you must also have the responsibility to question yourself and your own beliefs. This line of reasoning becomes really important, especially in a day and age where cultural and social practices are passed down simply because people have bigger sticks and louder voices, not more sound lines of reasoning. I've learned thus that the most dangerous thing is the illusion of knowledge. You owe it to yourself not to think that you're the smartest person in the room, and you must also have the responsibility not to believe in something just because someone taught it to you or someone you respect and admire passed it on and said that you must carry this on for the rest of your life. You should be crazy about finding good answers to all of your questions, because if you don't, then I think you prevent yourself from learning anything at all. And while we're on the topic of craziness, I think this plays really well into my second point, which I learned from reading books about the great Leonardo da Vinci and Nikola Tesla. Let me explain. Reading about how neurotic Leonardo was about studying the geometry of everyday things, or how painstakingly curious he was, or how diligently he took his notes, made me realize that it was the same extreme way of thinking that resulted in his remarkable ability to paint hair and fabrics as if they disappeared into the picture, as if they looked real. No one could paint hair like Leonardo da Vinci, and there was a reason for that. It was because he was so obsessive and curious about his work that his brushstrokes were more precise than anyone before him and likely anyone after. The case was the exact same with Nikola Tesla. He was so obsessive about his studies that he had this almost poetic obsession with science, and I don't need to remind you all how important his contributions were. He would shut himself up in his room for hours and hours and read and study and perform experiments. He wouldn't eat for days. He would go out with friends in such brief moments and then immediately withdraw to his studies again. And over the years, he developed a knack for science and engineering, and he slowly became the magician of the 20th century. And the third lesson that I have for you guys can actually be found in the book that I'm currently reading, called Educated by Tara Westover. And it taught me the numerous ways in which we can all become smart, talented, contributing members of society. In this amazingly written book, Tara Westover sequences her childhood in which she was raised as a survivalist. Her mother was a midwife who made baby deliveries within the home, and her dad was kind of this crazy religious guy who didn't believe in government. He thought that they were out to get them. He didn't like the concept of school, and so none of the kids had driver's licenses or birth certificates until their late teenage years. More crazily, Tara didn't step foot into a classroom until she was aged 17, and yet she's one of the most brilliant writers that I've ever read. Hearing and learning about her story and the unique ways in which she conquered hardship made me realize, wow, there is more than one way to be an educated person in the world, and that we should all appreciate different backgrounds, different stories, and just because you go to a good school or come from privilege or have the opportunity to learn a lot, it does not mean that you are better than anybody else. And if Tara's story has taught me anything, it's that you can come from a lot less and a lot different of a background and be just as accomplished as everybody else. And finally, for a bit of bad. One thing that I did not like about reading a lot was that sometimes I would try and think way too deeply about stuff that didn't matter that much. Whenever I was in a casual situation with friends or random people, I would always try and manufacture a deep thought about something, and I realized that was super shallow of me. Not everything needs to open your eyes or teach you a lesson or make you smarter. Sometimes there's nothing better in life than shutting your brain off, not thinking for a while, and just unwinding, and I forgot how nice that was. My final piece of advice is to make sure not to get so lost in the voices of your authors, which they spend months and years crafting, that you forget about appreciating the plain and everyday conversation in life that is just as valuable. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm so appreciative of your viewership. It means the world to me. If you're new, welcome. My name is Nikhil Reddy. I make videos like this all the time. If you liked the video, let me know down below. If you loved it, consider subscribing, shout me out on social media, but most importantly, I will see you guys in the next one.